And, in my capacity as the Arbitral Women Lead Director for the MENA region, I welcome you all for the flagship event of Arbitral Women as part of the 2021 edition of the Dubai Arbitration Week. As many of you might know, Arbitral Women was founded in 1993 by a group of leading female arbitration practitioners in Paris. And the aim of the association of brilliant women at the time was to bridge the gap and give further visibility of the brilliant talent that we have in the profession, not only in terms of arbitration, but also more globally in terms of international dispute resolution. And I can see many friends and Arbitral Women members today, and thank all the newcomers for joining us. And so for the ones who would be interested in learning more about the activities of Arbitral Women, I invite you all to visit the website. And there are ample details and ways you can create, but also build your profile. And I would also particularly like to salute the men who are present here today. Thank you very much. To clarify that we have never had an exclusive tendency or approach vis-a-vis men. To the contrary, for the ones who do not know, Arbitral Women actually awards a champion for diversity, and it's an award which is typically given to a male colleague that has championed diversity, and particularly gender diversity. I would like to mention to you all today that we are running this event as part of Dubai Arbitration Week, and there's an event happening 2 hours later in parallel, carrying the same title with the same content, which is also organized and hosted by Arbitral Women, which is taking place in New York as part of New York Arbitration Week, which is also taking place concurrently this week. And so as you've seen, the title is Dubai and MENA Stories, Career Pivots, Opportunities, Challenges in International Arbitration. And so for the ones who are also interested, there will be a similar event, but with New York stories on the same topic taking place in exactly 2 hours in New York. We are extremely honored today to have a brilliant and diverse pool of speakers. And I think to kick it on an extremely high note, I would like to warmly welcome Linda Fitzallen, who is the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the ADGM Court. And I would like to personally also commend and also highlight and emphasize the extreme efforts that Linda and her team has also done and instilled at the level of the ADGM. And we at Arbitral Women were extremely honored to enter into a memorandum of understanding with ADGM Arbitration Center. And we look forward to implementing the MOU together. So without further ado, Linda, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My good friend, Sarah Aranjo, is extremely generous in her welcome, extremely generous. Looking at new friends and old friends here today, I feel a little bit humbled in telling you a story of trajectories, ups and downs and sideways of careers when I see you all, because I know quite a number of you, and I know how accomplished you are. So for me, I'm not so sure that my story is going to be in any way, shape, or form a highlight, but on that basis, let me keep going. Arbitral Women is an extraordinary organization. It really is. Created some time ago with amazing vision, amazing depth, in order to gather together incredibly clever minds, creative minds of both women and men, to further the arbitration community and dispute resolution across the world in arbitration and mediation. When we signed the MOU, the Arbitration Centre signed the MOU with Arbitral Women last year, for me personally, that was a massive highlight. Because of what Arbitral Women stands for, because of the work it continues to do, because of the way it binds together the profession, all levels of the profession, all the gender equality, diversity. It doesn't matter at what level of the profession you are, if you're at the start, I never say the end, as you'll hear in my speech, there's no such thing as the end of your career. There's no such thing as the sunset or anything like that, because you work your way through. This organization has bound everybody together. And it's really hard to find that in the world. And I think it's really hard to find that at the moment. So for me, it's an extraordinary pleasure to be here, to be asked to be a keynote speaker. And I'm so grateful to Sarah. She and I spend quite a bit of time together brainstorming on things. I don't know what I'd do without her. With Adi Jem, to be perfectly honest, with her interesting ideas, as you'll see come through, particularly next year. But we've been dying to get together for the opportunity to really celebrate that MOU. And here we are today. So Sarah, thank you very much. Mimi, thank you very much. And to you, it's a pleasure to be with you. So what are we here today to discuss? Change, pivot, transition, with a reflection on adaptability and resilience. That's what the topic says. Honestly, that fills me with amazing amounts of energy. That said, I do find it hard to talk about myself in that perspective, only because I don't have a silver bullet for a great career. I don't have the great tips. I can tell you what I've used over my career, and I can tell you about a career with options, which I plan to share with you over these next few minutes, and some of the challenges that I've had as I've gone along and tried to take along with me. But I was interested in the word pivot because, and I actually had to look it up, because I think it's extraordinarily overused. It got extraordinarily overused in political circles across the world, with people pivoting, and all of a sudden that was supposed to be a negative. And I've never thought of the word as pivot as a negative, but in a political sense, all of a sudden that's what it had become. But if I looked at the definition of it in a business sense, it was defined as fundamentally changing direction. I would never describe where I am now or any time of my career as a pivot. I just wouldn't. I don't think I've ever fundamentally been changing direction. I've had some weird ups and downs over the time, but I think it's been a constant throughout. Consciously, unconsciously, recklessly, or naively, in looking back, every move I have made has drawn me to here. And I think for a lot of people, that might be the same. They haven't been fundamental direction changes. They, for me, are simply a reflection of life's ebbs and flows for an individual who has always been reckless and who's always wanted to achieve. So whilst a little of what I will describe doesn't sound like that, because some of it seemed quite monumental, but for me, it's basically turning chapters in a book. It's kind of a story. It starts off with a theme. It changes along the way, not massively. It sort of goes up and down, but it is a story, and it's changing of chapters. So I'm going to go back to, this is going to age me awfully. Sitting in Sydney as a partner, really a fantastic law firm. I've been through the roller coaster of managing being a partner, alongside being a mother of 2 children, time out for maternity leave, And that time, 6 months, worried about losing clients, worried about whether or not I was losing my edge. Was I going to come back and make it? Was it all fine? Were the children okay? All of a sudden I go back full-time work. Oh my goodness, everything falls off the rails. I think many of you know what I mean. It's that preoccupation that we all have with, are we doing the right thing? Have we calculated it the right way? Have we got it all sorted? Is it literally controlled by us? And then something amazing happened, which was my husband got a career opportunity in New York. He was in the music industry, and that was it. We had 2 young children, a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and off we went to New York. No job for me, left the law firm. It was like, thanks a lot, see you, heart in my mouth. Oh my goodness, this is the end of the career. New chapter. It forced me out of my comfort zone in a law firm. I probably would never have left, probably, at the end of the day, although I am restless. We moved. I focused on getting children settled for a couple of years. I focused on how to work out serving pizza on Wednesdays, doing all the things that you needed to work out at a US school, focused on friendships. I spent a lot of time avoiding the Australians there who only wanted to compare US products with Australian products, whether or not chocolate tasted the same and if the washing powder was as effective. It really did my head in. But everybody got settled, everybody got into school, work. There I was, restless. Okay, this cannot be it. I need more. So everybody was settled except for me. Until next chapter. Conversation with the father of a very good friend of my daughter who happened to be general counsel of a very significant US insurance company. And I had practiced in insurance, directors and officers and professional indemnity insurance in Sydney. And so he was like, I cannot promise you anything, but send me your resume and I will send it around. 6 weeks later, I was sitting in an insurance company in 40 Wall Street, New York. I literally had to pinch myself. I was in-house legal, working as part of a law team, which worked on essentially high-value, highly volatile directors and officers claims of systemic losses. I couldn't have written the script better, but my heart was in my mouth. I knew nothing about the US. I knew nothing about practice. I had no New York bar or Connecticut bar. So, I was kind of essentially had the bluffer's guide with lawyers from white shoe law firms. But I loved it. I really did. Why did I love it? Because it picked up everything that I was doing at Sydney and wove through it management and strategy. And if I'd been sitting at that law firm, I would not have been doing that at that level. I saw it all from the other side of the fence, from what became for me the exciting side, the client side. I loved the decision making. I loved the strategy. And ultimately, it changed my perspective and my thinking. Not massively so, but it was just a flip of a coin. It was just that other side of the coin where I'd been doing all sorts of things as a private, smart private firm lawyer, thinking I was pretty terrific. And then you get there and you realize that I must have been driving my clients mad at the time. But I was relieved to be rid of the 6-minute units and the peculiarities of law firms. With the greatest respect, I'm starting a law firm, so forgive me for that. But they have their things about them. And from then I knew it would be hard to return to private practice because I kind of jumped ship. It was just exhilarating. It really was. But like all things, things come to an end. It's the next chapter. 2008, things were slightly getting wobbly. We were in New York and my husband was fairly pessimistic about the music industry. We had the only grandchildren across both families. we were at that point, we'd been there for 6 years, and we were at that point where we were, all right, so are we Australians or are we Americans? And what are we going to do? So we decided to return back to Sydney. I always call it a 51-49 decision. To this day, it is a 51-49 decision. And it is, you probably all know that expression, it is a sliding door moment. I wonder what it would have been like had we stayed there, but my goodness, I'm here now, so I don't care about what that would have been like. We listed our house. We bought a house in New York. We listed our house on the weekend that Bear Stearns failed. So everything was collapsing. It's kind of like that movie Inception, where sort of everything is going behind you and you're like, my goodness, what are we going to do? We did the reckless thing, as you do in a global financial crisis. We spent 3 months traveling in Europe, spending money without a job, with 2 little children, trying to work out why the Europeans can't do an extra bed in just 1 bedroom instead of getting 2 rooms. So there we were, what to do. And you recall I said I was relieved to be rid of all the timesheets. Well, I went back to the law. It was a soft landing. They were wonderful. They were generous. They said, come back. And so it just made a whole lot of sense in settling everybody back into Sydney on a 51-49 decision, of which I was on the 49 side. And so that's exactly what we did. The firm was very generous in allowing me to go back for this reason, is that I said to them that I would only give them a 2-year commitment, because I really wondered whether or not I could actually go back. I just knew what I loved as part of being in-house, and I knew that it would be very hard to give that back up and re-engineer myself. Of course, you can do it, but it was one of those things that was kind of right there. So they agreed with that, and while I was there, there was a blessing to be there because it was a good landing. I was able to share with the firm's lawyers my experience in the US because it was an insurance firm, a medium-sized firm. And I think I was able to give them that perspective, particularly the younger lawyers, about shifting their thinking and how to deal with clients. I told them that it really just didn't cut it to write reports of 40 pages, even with an executive summary. It's just rubbish. We didn't have time to read it. And if you take 40 pages to summarize that claim, you're not doing the right thing. So so I was happy to impart that. I'm not sure it was always followed, but in any event, I got it off my chest as to what clients needed. Next chapter. So 2011 comes along, 2 years, and yep, I am restless. Like, this is great. This law firm's terrific. How generous have they been? Don't abuse this generosity whatsoever. But up came a role with the New South Wales Supreme Court as CEO and Principal Registrar. They were recruiting, and because of my litigation experience and because of my management experience of what I did in the US, I was lucky to have the role, to get bigger than the role. And I was there for 5 years, and it was 5 brilliant years. A new Chief Justice joined about 6 months after I arrived, and I thought, oh my goodness, what is this going to be like? This guy didn't select me. But in any event, it was absolutely magic, and I'll be going to his retirement next year, which is, I find amazing. So it was absolutely brilliant. I've never kind of truly managed an organization like that. It was public sector. I've not worked in the public sector, so that was interesting in a good way. Teaches you a lot about the public sector. And then time goes by, and next chapter. I'm sitting at my desk, and I had been convinced that if I was restless, that I needed to go on LinkedIn. I was told, that's it. Your life changes the moment you go on LinkedIn. That's it. So, you know, I patiently waited for 6 weeks. And then a recruiter recruiter sent a message to me on LinkedIn saying, what do you feel about starting up a common law court in Abu Dhabi? Okay, so I thought it was a joke. It was just the most bizarre notion you could ever possibly imagine. I'd never traveled to the Middle East, not Arabic speaking. I thought, well, seriously? Well, here I am. And this is my continuing MENA chapter. What an absolute privilege, because we are here to talk about the opportunities, and this wonderful panel here is going to go through their amazing opportunities. But it really has been exceptional. I'm really, really privileged. When I arrived in September 2015, we had no rules, no practice directions, no procedures, no courtroom, no e-filing platform, no notary, no arbitration center, no pro bono scheme, no cases, so no judgments. And the question on all of your lips whenever I've spoken to you over the years is, no, we haven't enforced a judgment yet. So no enforcement, and even better, no staff. So there I was, the only one on the ground for a while in a country that I did know, but was incredibly hospitable on coming in, with a chairman who said, so you're going to make it different, right? And no is not an option. I was like, oh, making it different, absolutely. I'm on it already. It's been a week and I'm on it already. So needless to say, there were so many sleepless nights, still out from time to time, because I stupidly had this view that if things went pear-shaped, well, that's all my fault. It's completely all my fault because none of it was there and I would be creating it, which is really quite a silly way to think. You know, I had a Chief Justice and some amazing judges, but no, that's what we do, right? We kind of over-engineer and do our things that they need to be perfect. So that's where the sleepless nights kind of combined with extraordinary thinking, it catapults you into zones that you don't know. I'm not advocating sleepless nights, by the way. I think sleep's really important. Even LeBron James says that on the car map at night, that you need to get to sleep. That's where it gets to. And but to have created a common law procedural framework for this, I am drinking my own Kool-Aid, this tremendous court in the period of time has been brilliant, along with the establishment of the Arbitration Center. So here I am in this chapter that's continuing, amazing chapter, that continues to be an immense pleasure for me. But for what it's worth, just a few things from what I've found for me that's worked along the way. Shut up and listen. Really. Each step of the way, if you're in roles that are challenging you, there's something new. You need to listen. You need to absorb. You need to question. And you need to observe. Honestly, silence is golden. It really is, as you go along your way with new things. Talk to the people who you have assessed have the measure of the landscape, are playing a better game than you on that field, and always will, because they're experts. You may at the end be as expert as they are, but when you're starting off, just listen to them. You will find those people and you will come across them, and they are gems in your professional career, and I've had a few of them. And they will tell you, don't do as I say, or do as I do, but do what you feel, sometimes with your heart, not your head, and just go with it. And literally just go with it and stop questioning things. Persistence, experimenting with things, and believing in yourself. That's what you have to do. You are your biggest advocate, and you always will be. You'll have some amazing people around you, but don't question what you're doing. Just do it. Your team, wow, so important. Surround yourself with the best and the brightest. really. It's just fundamental. You've all read about that on TED Talks or heard it on TED Talks or whatever else. If you let them do their best, you will thrive and so will they. And they'll thrive brilliantly and they'll leave you and you'll be miserable. But then that's when new people come along and that's when you learn more things. A different job is done in a completely different mindset and it's amazing. And finally, don't obsess about your next move. I know I've said be restless, but don't obsess about it and don't force it. If you force it, it won't happen. You need to make it happen, but that's different to forcing it because you will find yourself in territory that you don't want to be simply because you've built something up. I think also for me, I have found a curiosity in and a belief that the book doesn't have an end chapter has quietened my inner critic because there's kind of no end, right? So there's not always this, I have to do this at this stage. This is the point that I'm at. I don't think it's healthy to have an end chapter. I never talk about retirement. I never will talk about retirement. I won't always be in my current role, obviously, but I will certainly be working for someone or for myself or doing something that makes other people happy. So opportunity is boundless in the MENA region. You're here in the middle of it. Just look at the progression of this country. It's an amazing trajectory. Get on its slipstream because it'll take you to extraordinary places and you'll be charting waters that we haven't charted before. And how exciting is that? I mean, it really is. So I've spoken enough, probably over time. I wish you all the very best in the chapters of your story. I'm sure they will be laden with themes of resourcefulness, determination, imagination, and quieten everything around you as you listen to your heart, your head, and your soul about what works for you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you.
Well, thank you very much, Linda, for sharing with us so genuinely your inspiring, truly inspiring story. Before I present our moderator for the next session, I just wanted also to also warmly also thank the many participants who are joining us online as well, virtually. As you all know, this is running in a hybrid format. And a very special and warm thanks, particularly to the Arbitral Women President, Dana McGrath, who woke up at such an early hour and who joins us from New York, who sees us and hears us, hopefully. As well to Rekha Rangashari, who's running our event so brilliantly globally. Arbitral Women board member Juliette Fortin, who joins us from Paris. And last but not least, the indefatigable and amazing Lires Philippe, the co-founder, alongside Louise Barrington of Arbitral Women. So thank you very much. And Dana, thanks a lot for the message that we can all see. Thank you very much, Dana, and everyone for joining us, particularly the ones who woke up so early on the other side in New York. I'll be now welcoming our panelists and particularly our moderator, Dr. Afaf bin Mansour, who specializes in public and international law and is based outside of Paris and who has traveled particularly to be with us today. Afaf has decided to join private practice specializing on international arbitration and dispute resolution after many years as a teaching researcher in university, but also as a practitioner at a leading international law firm in Paris representing states investment arbitration. And then she decided to pivot and found her own practice in Paris. Afaf is a member of the ICC court, and she's also sits on the board of Arbitral Women. And last but not least, she's preparing for the Olympic Games marathon in 2021? 24. Okay, so you have time. All right, without further ado, please, Afaf, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. So she forgot to say that she's also a friend. She's important.
Everyone, I think, more or less, is a friend. And I think this is the beauty of our community, is this is what ties us, and it relates to what Linda has rightfully said earlier.
You're totally right, and I'm really happy to have been traveling from France just for this event and to see that the room is crowded with friends from Arbitral Women and future Arbitral Women members, and also men and colleagues here in Dubai. And I'm also happy to know that we have more than 20 persons virtually attending the event. And last but not least, the opportunity to meet in person with the three persons who will compose the panel today and will share with us their career path, and in particular the different pivots and shifts that they made in their own career. And before starting with my questions, I will first introduce them one by one. So today we have with us, in alphabetical order, to avoid any partiality. So we have with us Sari Madah, who I met today, and who is an accredited lawyer and in-house counsel with 20 years of work experience and strong involvement in commercial and investment-related arbitration dispute. The scope of his expertise is quite large and encompasses finance, compliance, constructions, infrastructure, project development, real estate development, international joint venture, etc. And through its career path, he has had close interaction with arbitration panels at different levels and had liaised with leading regional and international law firms. Sari is today the legal counsel of Dubai Healthcare City Authority and have recently overseen some important arbitration dispute in cooperation with Al Tamimi in the state of the United Arab Emirates. He asked me to say it, so.
I think this is because Tamimi successfully won the arbitration.
Yes. I think. So then we're moving to Lindy Patterson, who is a full-time international arbitrator and adjudicator operating under all of the major institutional rules as well as ad hoc. She is qualified in Scots law. She started as counsel. She operated, and now she's a full-time arbitrator. She operates across many jurisdictions around the world, but both civil and common law, and this is important to say. She operates within construction, energy, and natural resources sectors, but I think in all forms of and types of commercial contract dispute. She has chaired a number of dispute boards, both ad hoc and standing, and across the world, and plays an active role in promoting dispute avoidance by these means. And I think that this is why she is also an Arbitral Women member, and it is also important to note that. Moving now to our guest, who is here virtually. She was supposed to be with us, and I was looking forward to meeting her in person, but she has a last-minute constraint. So now she's with us, but in Copenhagen. So Rana Shasha, who is a Deloitte financial advisory partner focusing on investigations and dispute services in the Middle East. She has over 16 years of experience in financial advisory. She has experience across a range of disciplines, including dispute resolution, fraud, bribery, and accounting investigations. Rana leads large complex technical accounting and financial fraud investigations on behalf of her clients across a range of industries. She's also a litigation expert with extensive experience in dealing with local courts in the Middle East. At the end, I let then Robert Stephen, who is the registrar of the IFC LCIA Arbitration Center. He is an experienced arbitration specialist who has been based in the United Arab Emirates since 2011. Before, he practiced for a long period as counsel in one of the world-renowned law firm in arbitration, with working in different cases across a wide range of industry sectors like energy, natural resources, constructions, and real estate, and finance and banking sectors. Robert is also known because he has been recently listed by Who's Who Legal Arbitration as a future leader in arbitration. He's also a member of the Equal Representation in Arbitration Pledge Middle East Subcommittee and the former chair of the UAE branch of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators Young Members Group, and a former member of the Global Steering Committee of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrator Young Members Group. So those are the four persons who will share with us their experience and how they put it in their own career, and they will answer my question. And as I'm the moderator today, I'm also the master of time. So we will have, let's say, 40 minutes to answer the different questions I have prepared. And then I will give you the floor because I'm really happy to have this room crowded with young and more experienced practitioner here in Dubai. And you will have the floor to ask your own question and also to share your own experience with us. So I will start with the first question, and which is quite obvious, which is, please, if you can describe for us briefly your career path, and in particular, what was the pivot of your own career in arbitration? And here I will change the order and start with Rana.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much, Afa, for the kind introduction. I really was looking forward to meeting all of you in person and be with you, but unfortunately, I had an urgent client meeting that I had to attend for in Copenhagen. It's too dark and cold, but yes. So I really look forward to coming back. But in terms of I started my career in audit in 2005 with Deloitte. I really enjoyed the audit practice and the work that I have done in audit, in terms of really knowing the details of the financial statements. And it was a great experience by all means, fundamental experience to become an accounting expert in the future. But I really didn't see my career for the long term in the audit field. And therefore, I didn't do an external shift, but I took the opportunity to ask for an internal move within Deloitte. And I moved to the financial advisory team. And it was the best decision that I have made at the time. I worked across services within the financial advisory, valuation, transaction services, and corporate finance. And then I landed into the forensic field, and really all the experience that I have gained in those business units have made me just a more well-rounded expert in my field. And the moment that I have joined forensic, this is where I found myself very passionate, very motivated, and from there I made the first Arab-speaking female partner in my career in the field of forensic in the region. So I'm very proud of that, but that comes with challenges and responsibilities as well.
Thank you very much. So what I note, and I think also the audience noted, is that you have been proactive for the change in your career. Thank you. So now I'm moving to Lindy.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I have a longer career path because I am older. I started in a Scottish law firm. I became a mid-partner way back, actually in the late 80s, when there were really very few female partners in law firms. I did initially all sorts of litigation, but gradually moved into commercial and ultimately became more specialized. I was a partner in 3 law firms, ultimately an international law firm, and was a partner for about 25 years, seizing lots of opportunities along the way. In the UK, there is this strange arrangement where not everyone has rights of audience to argue in every court. If you're a lawyer, that is for barristers. But the rules changed in the early 90s, and I became one of the first solicitor advocates, and I then became Queen's Counsel as a solicitor advocate, which was quite unusual, especially for a female way back. So I'm not sure I would describe it, as Linda said, anything as a pivot. And this is where I'm going to confess my age. I lie in the gym when I'm on the running machine, but I will be honest here. But in my late 50s, I decided that I wanted to concentrate on a neutrals role. And that is not compatible really with a UK law firm, especially an international one. There are too many conflicts. So I've gone from managing enormous teams of lawyers, as I did laterally, to working on my own again as an arbitrator. But I have also joined the bar, so I'm in a set of chambers in London. There is some support, but as those of you who will know who are involved as arbitrators, it can be quite a lonely life, especially as a female, which is why it's so nice to be involved with arbitral women. So that is where I've come from.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I heard something that is, so for you being lonely is more a female way of working than male.
Yes, I mean, again, I think it's a confidence thing. So when you first start out as a full-time arbitrator, you're perhaps a bit too concerned about sharing, what is going on. You obviously have to be careful confidentially anyway. You do learn that there are people that you can share things with, but it doesn't come naturally, I think, to us, whereas I think guys would be more inclined perhaps to share this. But I think anyone who's looking to become involved in that, it can be a lonely life, so you do need to set up people around you who you can bounce ideas off, again, completely confidentially, and I've been lucky to be able to have that. And Robert, of course, has been very helpful as well.
Good. So you're making the right the transition for me. So Robert, please, can you share with us your past career?
Sure, I'd be delighted to, and it's a pleasure to be here and to see so many friendly faces in the room, and to be able to give this opportunity to share my experience and my background. Like Lindy, I am Scottish qualified originally. I would also suggest that I haven't made any conscious pivots in my career path to date, but in the current circumstances I'm in, I may pivot in the not too distant future, but I've yet to decide on that. But I went down a slightly different route. I didn't practice in Scotland. I actually practiced in England for a leading international law firm, and that gave me a tremendous amount of opportunity. I very early on in my career decided that I wanted to work overseas and to focus on working in international arbitration, and within a short space of time in 2008, left the UK for Russia, a non-Russian speaker, moving to Russia for a year or so to practice there. And that was a fantastic opportunity, and one that I look back on very, very fondly. It was pre-global financial crisis, and I can tell you Moscow pre-global financial crisis was an interesting place to be, to do business, and certainly to work and live. Latterly, after my time in Russia, and I knew my time in Russia was limited, I never went to Russia with a long-term view of practicing there for much longer than a year. And I did about 9 months in the end, and I had always thought that my next natural step would be to go to Asia to work in an established disputes team in Hong Kong or Singapore with the same law firm. And an opportunity was presented on my desk of coming to Dubai and to work in what at that point in time was a relatively small office with my firm, and to help build the arbitration practice there. And for whatever reason, I don't really know now, I think it was probably the weather that attracted me most. But in August of 2009, I relocated to Dubai, and I worked here for a period of 6 months to start off with. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a very different city in August of 2009 than it is today. I settled into the city, and I really enjoyed my time practicing here. But I was asked very quickly to return back to London, and then to move on to Paris, where I actually practiced in Paris for a couple of years. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Paris, and truly threw myself back into international arbitration practice in such a wonderful city, surrounded by wonderful colleagues. And I was very lucky to then have the opportunity to come back here in 2012, and I've been in United Arab Emirates since 2012. I suppose the biggest career change for me was the leaving a law firm and joining an institution. That certainly was not something that I had ever envisaged when I started out in my career. I suspect, like most that started their career at my time or before, you started a law firm with a view to having a career within the same law firm. And I was very lucky to have been offered my training contract and my job at Herbert Smith at the time, legacy Herbert Smith at the time, in my first year of university. And so it was a clear 5 years before I actually went through the doors to start my training contract. And so by the time I actually left that firm, I'd been associated with that firm for a period of 15 years. And so it was a big decision to leave private practice, to leave that firm, that ultimately I was going down one route, which is to become a partner within the law firm. And this was a very unique opportunity. It's an opportunity that comes up very, very rarely to work in an institution, to be given an opportunity to build and grow a business. And that was how I rationalized it at the time. I was on track to be a partner within an international law firm. That was the route that I was going, and that was the route that I wanted to go down. But I had been presented with this unique opportunity that didn't come across my desk, or didn't come across your desk very often, and it was an opportunity that I felt I had to take at that point in time. And I don't look back at that decision with any regret whatsoever. Fantastic opportunity, and 5 years later, we've built a business that had $70,000 in the bank account with 2 members of staff, and a product that we knew we could market and sell, to a business that has $10 million in the bank account, a team of 10, and a very successful operation at that point in time. And so it was a wonderful 5-year experience, and certainly something I wouldn't look back on with any regret whatsoever. And I would suggest that if you are presented with opportunities along your career path, do take a moment to step back and consider, what will this opportunity give me? And is it worthwhile me taking that step away to do something else for a period of time? Because I think if you do that and you take those opportunities and grasp them when they come your way, you'll find that you'll learn a hell of a lot along the way, and it will stand you in good stead for the future.
Thank you, Robert. So you answered all my questions. No more questions. Let's move to Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to everybody for this opportunity today. Actually, your question brings me back more than 20 years back to my high school. When I first graduated from high school, I remember I was in the scientific section, and I got high grades to be a doctor of medicine. Actually, I was supposed to be like that, but my first change was my decision to be a lawyer.
I think that it was the situation for a lot of us here, particularly the Arabic world. All our parents wanted us to be doctors, so.
Yeah. So yes,
or engineers, muhandis, nasib.
Yeah, actually, I decided to be a lawyer, and this was so I entered this field, this profession, with spirit of change and challenge, actually. And when I first graduated, I joined the law firm, as all the lawyers do, actually. And a few years later, I got motivated by my big will to explore and to try everything that a lawyer should know and can try. So I joined the Ministry of Economy in Beirut, and for 1 year and then shifted to the in-house practice. And this was a big challenge, actually. I faced a lot of difficulties from working with lawyers on daily basis, encountered by partners and senior associates and all types of lawyers, and then start to work with business decision makers on daily basis. The manners and the methods of working and of thinking differs a lot, but that gave me actually big experience, and it was a big opportunity. And then I joined law firm again, and this shift between in-house and law practice, actually, it was not easy at all. It was very difficult because even if you get the clue on how to be successful as an in-house counsel and also how to be successful as a practicing lawyer inside a law firm, it's still when you grow up and when you level up, you become more senior even here or there. So you have to prove yourself, and you have to meet the challenges and the expectation from your job. This was actually very difficult and very amazing at the same time. And I would like to mention one big shift I made actually a few years back, because I tried even to join as partner in a law firm here in the region. So I prepared for that a lot and spent a lot of money actually. And we did, actually, after around 7 to 8 months of preparation and spending from my own coach, COVID-19 started and everything collapsed because all budgets got shrinked in all organizations. So this was actually a disaster on me. But because of all my, all what I gained during my career path and experience, the relationships and the challenges that I faced and overcame, I was able actually to overcome that again. And this is what I would like to say here, that once you choose to be a lawyer, it's not easy to be a lawyer. It's not easy to prove yourself in the field, and you have to accept the challenge and to endure the hardship of the journey. That's all. You are a man or a woman. Lawyering is accepting the challenges and wake up every day and face the work, face your clients sometime because they are your strongest, not enemies, your opponent, I can say. So thank you.
Thank you, Sari, for sharing all the challenges you faced in your own career. And it's true, and lawyering is accepting the challenge for men and women. There is no difference, in this aspect. But in building your own career, we are here also to testify that we know that there are some differences between men and women, and that women are facing different challenges because of their gender, and some others because of the color of their skin, and also because of their religion. And we are here to speak about diversity, which reached me to the next question, which is, could you please share with us a situation where you received help from a more senior colleague, whether women or men, or whether you helped yourself someone more junior, or from the other gender. So this question goes also to Rana and India. To help them to make a step in their own career or pivot in a new role where they are now and very successful. So I will start first with India, as you have more experience in our panel. And then with Robert, Rana, and Sari at the end.
Well, a couple of examples. I do remember early on in my career, a client told the senior partner that they did not wish a woman to be acting for them in a particular dispute. I was just becoming involved in construction at that time, and there was obviously a view that there was no way that a female could handle it. And the senior partner then told the client that there was no place for him in this law firm as a client, and he left. And I felt hugely supported by that. But there were no senior women above me. So I did not have any female role models. So you were dependent on guys who were going to help you. And there were many who did that. As far as bringing people on are concerned, I have promoted many women to be partners that have been in my teams. I also latterly, it became a bit of a standing joke that all our team were women, and guys used to say, was there a special code that would allow them to become part of this team? And it hadn't been done deliberately. We'd just chosen the right people for the job.
Thank you. Robert.
Look, I think, like Lindsay, I've had lots of people along the way that have helped out and that have given me fantastic career advice and guidance, both men and women, and some of the best advice I've been given over the years is from very senior female practitioners that have gone through the process of getting to partnership within a law firm in quite difficult circumstances. As Lily said, most female partners in law firms when I was practicing had gone through the process without a role model, had gone through the process and had been one of the first breed of female partners within law firms, and so knew the challenges intimately. We're able to communicate those to the younger breed of associates, whether they be male or female. Look, there was one female partner that I worked with very, very closely, and I always looked at her with a great deal of admiration. But one thing that struck me was that she treated her male associates and her female associates very differently. And we've become good friends over the years, and we actually have talked about this latterly. One of the things that I recognized that she did was that she treated her male associates as if they were her sons, and her female associates got really tough treatment. And sometimes she didn't even give them, a look. She would reach out to grab a bit of paper, she would mark it up and pass it back, and off they would go. Whereas a male associate would come in and she'd turn around and have a conversation. And I always thought that was really, really bizarre. But she didn't do it to all of her female associates. She did it to the female associates that she felt needed toughening up. And the reason she did that was because she felt that in her mind, at least, was the best way of bringing on. I'm not going to suggest that is the right way of bringing anyone on, whether it's a male or a female associate, because in my experience of building and developing a team over the last 5 or 6 years, that's certainly not how I've done it. And I've taken pride in building a largely female team who are all excellent and really have done a wonderful job of being advocates to the brand and to the organization that we have. And I think it's really important to have a diverse team, and it wasn't designed to have an all-female team, but it has happened. And it's something that I'm very proud about doing, giving opportunities to very qualified female practitioners that perhaps just don't want the pressure of being in private practice anymore. The hours, the expectations, but still want to do something in their field that is interesting, that is relevant, that can be translatable, and that can also not necessarily be the end route. They can do it for a few years. It makes sense as part of their career journey, and not necessarily pivoting, but they can return back to private practice and move on to do something else. And it's a sensible journey that they've had along the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert. And Rana, from your side?
I mean, I'm with diversity in general, not only gender diversity, but overall diversity is very important in any business. You can bring the best to your clients when you have diverse team. I personally have faced a lot of challenges in certain situation where clients comes and say, no, we don't want Arab speaking, we want an English speaking person. We don't want someone who's wearing a scarf. We want someone, and I had several comments which made me feel uncomfortable at the time. But the most important thing really that I have learned is being persistent about what you want to achieve, and do not at all have those people let you down. You always have to overcome those challenges, and you always have to know who you are and what you can achieve. And no matter what people says, at the end of the day, it's very important to take feedback and reflect, but you know who you are and you have to be strong. Okay. And this is what I have learned over my career. And there you go. I am senior partner, the youngest probably in Deloitte Professional Services, and it's an international firm, a litigation expert. And I'm proud of what I have achieved. And as I said, it gives me, I'm very proud, and it's great to be the first and all of that, but it's also give me the responsibility to be a role model to the other woman, and really role model in everything that I do. So I generally, women really puts a lot of effort in terms of showing what they can really achieve, and I think nowadays they have achieved a lot. In many women in several countries, in several positions, several organizations have managed to achieve a lot, and they add a lot of value to organizations. And there are several studies around this. So working together is important. Diversity is vital to organizations. And this is what I can tell. Now, in terms of me supporting other women, I can hear a lot of comments coming to me. Woman says, I went to a meeting where the man asked me to take notes. Okay, and I mean, why did he ask you to take notes? You both are in the same position. So in the organization, you should listen as well, the same as him. You should be speaking in those client meetings. It's not only him speaking. So that is where I see, and me being a mentor to many women inside Deloitte and outside my organization, has really given me a lot of satisfaction in terms of helping women achieve to where they can achieve. And I'm sure we have a lot of skilled, talented people in the Middle East, whether Arab or non-Arab speaking, and the potential for them to achieve a lot in the Middle East is there. They just need to seize the opportunity, be persistent, and overcome any challenges. And they should know what they can achieve and believe in themselves.
Thank you, Rana. Sari, do you want to?
Actually, to answer this question, I have one amazing story. Actually, it happened to me that I really had one girl became a lawyer, and she is now a very successful lawyer. I was acting as head of legal in one business organization long years back. I was just having like 12 years of experience when she was around 19 years old. She was a daughter of one of the managers of leading banks in the Gulf region. And her father was a friend of our CEO, her father was German, her mother is American, and our CEO is, her father is British, her mother is American. This is what I remember. And our CEO is German. And when she came to us, she was graduated as a musician. And she plays piano, she plays guitar. And she wanted to be a lawyer, which is like, surprising. And he said to me also, Sari, you have a lot of work. We have a lot of work, international joint ventures, transactions, a lot of things. She can have a good idea, in depth, with you, just work together and work easily, and let her see what is lawyering about, etc. And we started on every day. I was just sitting, and at the end of the day, looking at her, what you are doing here. You are living with music and dancing, singing, etc. And no, we are lawyers. We just listen to music when we are maybe drunk, something like that. But what is really amazing, she became a very successful lawyer, and she is now a senior associate with a leading international law firm. And I'm really very proud of her. I'm very proud of my friendship with her. What I would like to say from this story is maybe I supported her for 1 year, and others supported her also, but nobody can support you if you are a lady or a man if you don't have the will and if you do not support yourself. She wanted to be a lawyer, and she is now a very successful lawyer in a very big law firm, and she still plays music, and which is really, yes, this is my story.
Yes, but to summarize, because it's a very nice story, is that your boss opened your mind, I mean, to someone playing music, being able to be a good lawyer and being a successful lawyer. And I think that one of the aim of our organization and also the aim of this panel today is really to open the mind of all the audience, women first on their skills, and also giving them the keys for success, and keys that we sometimes forget, like considering any opportunities, even if they are far from the path that you had in mind when you started your career in a law firm or in an institution, and also to try to be surrounded by people you are confident with as an arbitrator. When you are a sole arbitrator, and you will feel confident to call your own other colleagues, other arbitrators, other member of the panel, or a court, and here I'm looking to some of my colleagues at the ICC court, to ask them questions sometimes on proceedings and receive some support, and at the same time being proactive in your own career, as Rana did, as you all also did. I think that Rana was, she asked for it, she wanted it, and she gave herself the possibility to do it. So she went and asked. And I think also our organization is helping and in opening the mind of all the members to know that they are able to ask. And it's important to ask, even if you don't have an answer, just do it, to be proactive and ask. That's what I can say about what we said today. And probably I will give you the last word, and just in one sentence, just what I would really to summarize the key word for you for pivoting from an institution to a law firm, or from counsel to arbitrator, and also inside your own firm, from a department to another. So I will start with salary, and this will be the last word before moving to the floor.
Actually, I did not only shift between law practice and corporate lawyer and house counsel. I also shifted between the private sector to the public sector. Currently, I am working as general counsel of Healthcare City, and I would like to say it's totally different to work in the private sector as a corporate lawyer, or to work in the public sector, in governmental entities, governmental institutions. Because how you approach the law is different, and how you approach your cases, your files, how you study your lawsuits, how you interact with other lawyers, law firms, your external counsels, etc. Everything is different. And here, I would like to say again that you can always do your best when you focus, as long as you have the good background and you know where
to go. Thank you. Lindy?
I think a couple of things. You must, to my mind, enjoy what you do to be successful. There's no point in aspiring to something that you don't enjoy. And the other thing I would say is that once you move into a particular role, consolidate for a while. I mean, I have encountered people who immediately they acquire a particular position, they're looking for the next one. But actually, to my mind, you need to consolidate in that position, be good at that, and then take the next step.
Thank you. And when this, you're joining also our keynote speaker today, who said, don't think about your next role, just consolidate first in the position where you are. Sorry, wants to add something before moving to Rana.
I would like just to say something. I think it's very important. I remember one day and long years back, I was applying for a job as in-house counsel. Actually, it was like senior in-house counsel in one very big organization, business organization, real estate industry. And that time, the general counsel was a lady lawyer. And at the same time, I was negotiating two organizations. Actually, she gave me at the end very good offer and a higher package than the other organization. But in our last meeting, she asked me one question, which troubled me completely. She told me, one other question, Sari, do you have a problem in being reporting to a woman? Yeah, that question is still in my head actually, and directly the next day I choose to go to the other organization because I felt if I join her, I'm joining. I will be a soldier with a leader who is not confident of himself, of herself. So here my advice and my wish for all women who are in leading position. So please don't show any weakness because there is no mercy in business, in life, in law, and everything related to that. So just I would like to confirm that on this point, the self-confidence is something is the master key to master yourself first and master your position. So be strong.
Thank you for this, although I don't share it totally because I think that it's also good sometimes to show that you are sometimes weak, and this can happen to men and female. But I'm really happy to hear this from you because it's just for us to be aware. You know, I really didn't think that the fact that she asked you this question would
I would love to join.
No. Understand? Just let me finish. That this question asked to you will show that she was weak, really. I mean, so this is good also to hear from you that the reaction of the man when women ask him whether he will be confident or not to report, to work with a woman, to have a woman as a boss, that the reaction will be, oh, she's weak, and you say, so this is really interesting. And thank you for sharing this.
This is why.
Yeah, you do. I mean, thank you for sharing this element of your career. Rana?
I think what has been mentioned is absolutely correct in terms of consolidate and reflect. Even, I mean, you mentioned I have asked and I moved to, and I have done an internal move within the organization. But at that time, I have reflected and I said, is this the right move? And I really questioned myself several times. Okay, in my early stages of my career, is this where I see myself in the long term? Is this where I see what I would like to achieve in my career? And having said that, as I said, I've worked with many departments within the financial advisory in order to know where my passion is, where I'm truly passionate about. And I worked with the valuation, transaction services and corporate finance. I've never said that, and all of those experiences, as I said, made me really a more rounded expert, because all of these it's essential knowledge for an accounting expert. And then I landed to the forensic practice. So I never felt shy from saying, this is not where I see my career for the long term. This is what I want to do. And I moved and I seized those opportunities. And then I landed to where I think this is what really is me. This is where Rana would like to be for the long term. And the other thing that I would like to say, you have to define what do you want to achieve. Okay, I was very much passionate to make a partner in a financial advisory, in the largest and first financial advisory firm, Deloitte. This is my objective. Every person has its own objective in life. And I think define that objective so you know what do you want to achieve and you're working towards that. Now you need to modify a few things in the way, okay, to achieve what do you want to achieve, but you do need to define the ultimate objective, an ultimate goal that you would like to achieve. So that's my advice to everyone.
Thank you. And the last word will be for Robert, sorry.
Rana used a word that I was going to use, which was opportunity. The world is full of opportunity. The organizations in which we work are full of opportunity. And I think you need to be open to opportunity. It doesn't matter what your gender is. Take the time to have a think about what you want out of your life and your career, but don't be fixed, be flexible. And if an opportunity comes your way that is interesting, consider it. And I would recommend you and urge you to take it if it makes sense from your career's perspective and it's of interest. Because if you take the opportunities as they come along your way, you'll find that you learn a hell of a lot and you come out of it far stronger, far more qualified, far more rounded as an individual. So it's all about opportunities and remaining flexible in your mindset, I think.
Thank you, Robert. With this, we reach the end of the panel, but we will open the Q&A to the audience for 10 minutes. So if you have, wow, 22, 3. I see 4. Does it work? No, we have 2. Yes, it's fine. So let's start. Thank you. And then you. Thank you. And then Aisha.
Louise from Global Advocacy, just across the road. It's not so much of a question, but more of an observation. Specifically relating, I'm going to use Sarah and Linda as a prime example, that the more successful women support other women. And I think all too often women are our biggest critiques, you know, we're our own worst enemy at times. But you get the likes of Sarah and Linda who are hugely supportive in every way, personally, professionally. They are very supportive of other women. They don't see other women as a threat to their careers. And I think that's hugely important for us all. And, you know, look how successful they are. We don't have to criticize each other. We don't have to knock each other down, build each other up. I see people from Drive a Tress as well, who last week we had a lovely breakfast for women working in construction. And it's things like that that make you realise that actually we are all in it together, and the more we can support each other, the better.
Thank you. Kim Franklin, Crown Office Chambers. I'm a lonely arbitrator. We've heard some wonderful words this afternoon from everyone. Thank you very much. I've made a note of pivots and sliding doors and opportunity and determination. There's a little vignette that I've always cherished, which is that we all have a moment in our lives when the universe opens a window and lets in the future. And for me, it happened on a phone box on the M25 back in the days before mobile phones, when I was a law student looking for a summer secretarial job. And I stopped to call the agency and they said, we've got a job for you in a law firm called Masons. You may not, name may not mean much to you, but they're now called Pinsent Masons. And from that lowly beginning of typing Masons offices, the career in construction arbitration opened up for me. Now, was that luck or was that opportunity? Another good saying is the more opportunities you create, the luckier you get. And I just want to finish that story by saying that the last hearing I did before lockdown was in Abu Dhabi, where I was chairing an arbitral tribunal, and one of the firms was represented by the partner whose typing I had done in the offices in Masons. Quite a moment, quite a moment.
Good afternoon. Aisha from MENA Chambers. I'm a colleague of Afaf on the ICC court. It's so good to see also fellow court members as well, our new additions. I was not planning to speak today, but I was provoked. And I was provoked, and I think a few of you know me. If I'm provoked enough, I will speak. I think, and I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of people, but I think as women in this profession, we spend so much time thinking about how we present ourselves, how powerful are we supposed to be, how strong are we supposed to be, and what about these days when we don't feel strong, when we don't feel confident, when we really don't feel, all these lovely things that we want to project. And I just want to, it really resonated with me what Lindy said and Linda as well. When you stop wondering about how strong people perceive you to be and focus on how good you can be, I think that's the way to do it. Whether or not people perceive you in the way that they deem you are confident or strong, my advice, you can take it or leave it, of course, that's not the way to go, because there is no profession in the world, I think, that is about how strong you are. It's about how good you are. And I think if you just focus on that, that would be, I think, a good tip to take. Thank you.
Afaf, sorry, this is Rana speaking. I completely agree, but also I would say be yourself. I mean, whether you're strong or not strong, be yourself.
Thank you, Rana. So we have two more questions, one from the end of the room.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Claudia, and I just want to get one thing down for the record for today. And just in my experience, if women ask somebody, will you be okay reporting to a man, then it's probably the kind of women that had a lot of experience with men, private and professional, who are not okay around strong women. Well, unfortunately, that happens. It's great in a way that you can't even conceptualize that that's a thing. That's a good sign for you, but we need to make sure that people understand where that's coming from, because most women have been there. B, I also have a question. I just moved here from Austria, so I'm self-employed. I'm a negotiation trainer. I work independently with a lot of law firms. And so I'm just going through that bit of cultural adjusting here, I guess. And I had my first meeting with one of the managing partners here of a regional law firm, and he basically told me that in his perspective, humble views, he would suggest that women should be more home with their children, because you can't just leave them with the nanny. I mean, you wouldn't leave the safe with your nanny. How would you leave something as precious as a child? So I'm a very direct person coming from Austria, and I wonder if there's any, I may not be you, if there's any tips of how do you deal with these sort of situations? Because many people might think that, but no one's ever said that to me. So now I need to figure out, what do I do in these situations? Any tips are welcome from anyone. So come to me often. Thank you.
Good. I mean, my answer would be just, you know, my kids have two parents, and then you're shocking him because you're implying that it is the father who is taking care of the kids. That's it. I mean, but we can hear other answers.
Yeah, and I think that's very important as well. And I've been faced with a similar situation. So I'm a new mom, and I have a 20-month-old baby. And I was asked a lot of challenging questions, I would say, as one of them is how I would take care of my baby. My husband is not here, he's in Abu Dhabi, and unfortunately he cannot be here all week. So I had the privilege of having my mom around. And this was actually a question that was put forward by a client who perceives that women should stay at home and should, you know, it's the very old school. But what I would tell is really just let it go, let it be, and don't let it stop you. I've seen a lot of challenges also in my career, and it does really resonate with what Lindsay and it said about just believe in yourself and go, just move forward and don't let this keep you down. I'm an arbitration specialist, and I was also told at the beginning of my career that arbitration is only for men. you will never make it, and it requires a lot of working over the weekend, working long hours. You'll be a mom one day, you won't be able to make it. Now I'm in a senior level in my career, I'm a mom, and things just fall into place without really keeping or listening too much about people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. No answer, just say that, be open about it, but don't let it keep you down or prevent you from progressing really.
We're running out of time. Thank you for sharing this. And just to do a lot of marketing of Arbit for Women, we have a program for parenting. So if you can join and you can share your experience, and you will have also the experience of more senior mom, if you want, to explain how we did share on this. And don't forget that arbitration is tough. It's true for women and men, but also being an engineer and doctors and etc. So life is not only arbitration. So our last question, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, it's not much of a question, just to thank you all, because I'm a very beginning of my career, and it's comforting to hear stories of how you take pride in helping younger practitioners. Because for us, I think it's very challenging to ask for help sometimes. It takes a lot of mental effort, and it takes a lot of, I don't want to be owing a lot of people a lot of help, not because you don't want to help people, but because you know you're not going to be in the position to help them because they're already more senior than you. So it's comforting, and I've just had this conversation with another junior member of my team a couple of days ago, where he wanted to ask for help. He was very conscious about this person's time and what am I going to pay back to them. And it's comforting to know that, first of all, people don't expect payback when they're offering help, and they do take pride in offering help. And it's also important, and the thing that I thought about when I talked to him is that you're going to be in a position to help someone one day, and that's how you can pay back. It's by just remembering the people who helped you, and then build yourself up to the position where you can help them. Because I think it would be very disappointing if you take help and then you don't build yourself up. So first of all, the one thing that always, because for instance, Dr. Afaf has helped me, and I was very happy to meet her during this arbitration week because she's helped me years ago, and tell her, look, I'm here now, possibly I'm in a better position to help someone today, and then a few years in the future, I hope I'll help her, I'll meet her again and show her that I'm in a position to help someone else, or a better place to help someone else. So I think it makes other people who have helped you happy when you're in a stronger position to help other people. And mom guilt is real. I'm a daughter of a working mom who used to leave me and travel all the time, and it turned out fine. So don't worry, it's something story that I share with my senior leaders, because they've always been, oh, I feel sorry that I didn't put my kids to bed today because we were working on something. And I always tell them, I'm perfect. I'm very happy that my mom had left me to work, because it's always made me wanting to be like her. So don't worry about it. I'm here 25 years later, perfectly fine.
Thank you. The best conclusion that we can hear for arbitration for women. Thank you very much. So now I'm giving back the floor to Sarah to conclude. And thank you very much for your answers.
Just before we head out to the cocktail networking reception, which is just happening in the room across, I wanted once again to thank, starting with our keynote speaker for today, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, our panelists and skillfully moderated by Afaf. Thank you once again. You've left us really with a lot of food for thought. Thank you to everyone who joined us in person today, as well as virtually online. I would have to say a special thanks to Arbitral Women member Magda. Thank you so much, Magda, for joining us with 4-month-old baby Mirka today. Thank you so much. And a big thank you as well goes out to Deloitte for sponsoring the networking reception, which is happening next door, and for their support. And I can see some of the friends and colleagues at Deloitte as well. Thank you all very much again for your support. Last but not least, thanks a lot to Joanna Thomas, our events manager here at Tamimi, and as well as our IT team. Thank you very much. I would like, maybe just before we all head out to the cocktail reception, leave you off on a quote. And the quote is by Lady Hale. Some of you might know she was the president of the Supreme Court of the UK from 2017 until her retirement in 2020. And I quote, the law should be all about justice, fairness, and equality. And if the judiciary doesn't look as if it's practicing equality, it may not be therefore practicing fairness, and it may not be practicing justice. So with that, we conclude our session for the 2021 Dubai Arbitration Week Special Edition. And before we head out to the cocktail, may I please invite everyone, obviously those who wish, to join us on this side so that we can take a group picture which will be featured as part of the Arbitral Women newsletter events coverage. Thank you all very much once again for joining us. There's the fact lawyers.
Okay, cheese.
I've always